Our job is to provide the maximum amount of fun that we can with all the options and all the choice to make it feel real. Obviously, it's not real. We all know it's not real. But if it feels real, it is like better than any other type of game or story that you can be a part of. The quantum ogre is this idea that I've made a dungeon, and as you explore that dungeon, you can go left, you can go right, you can go up, you can go down. But wherever you go, you're going to run into my ogre. There's an ogre in this dungeon, and he's a quantum ogre teleporting ahead of the players to be wherever they're going to be. I am not a big fan of the quantum ogre, though I understand why it exists and why people do it. It actually makes complete sense. I just think it's probably not the best way to do. It's not the best way to solve that problem. Yeah, that's a good question, Shweenz. So you find it interesting that I'm not a fan of the quantum ogre. Can I elaborate? Maybe because you're a video gamer, but it sounds like a great time saver, explore with forgiveness and all of that. Yes. In fact, I 100% get why people do it. I've done it. And it kind of falls into that, like, which is always a bad name for things, but like lazy dungeon master, quick, fast, like this is how you can spend 5 minutes jotting down ideas and then run a whole campaign or run a whole session and improvise and all that stuff. The reason it's not my favorite, or that I'm not a fan of doing it, that I don't really do it now, unless it's sort of like, there are situations that do call for it. Like if you're running a one-shot, the primary goal of a one-shot is to have as much fun as possible in the time that you have. And so there are all sorts of tricks and gimmicks that I'll use in a one-shot or in some sort of limited game situation that I wouldn't use in a campaign probably. The reason that I don't like it generally for, dungeon and campaign design, the way I approach it, is that I want the decisions that players make to matter. And I feel like central to the idea of the quantum ogre, which just means whichever direction you turn, you're going to face the good stuff. You're going to see the monster encounter that was designed, or you're going to find the puzzle, or you're going to find the door. What we're really doing is sort of faking choice, right? We're creating the illusion of choice, and instead everything's basically a corridor that the players are walking down. And I think, again, I understand it. I've done it, blah, blah, blah. But it's just so much better if we can find ways to, if the problem is time and the problem is planning efficiently, like those are problems. But I feel like we're sort of sacrificing good design for the sake of sort of getting things done. If I design a dungeon and there are 3 pathways through it, well, best case scenario, each of those 3 pathways has something interesting to show to the party. And part of the fun for me and for them, but especially for me as somebody who designs it, is that the system of that's designed here is going to, the world's going to change if they go down pathway 1, 2, or 3, or A, B, or C, right? It should make a difference. And if it makes a difference, then I get more enjoyment personally out of it, because, well, I don't know what's going to happen either. If they go down the first pathway, that is the ogre. But if they go down the second pathway, well, that's the group of bandits that recently fought the ogre, and, they're in a weakened state, and maybe the party can get them to help, or maybe they want to rob the party or whatever. And if they go down this way over here, well, it's a quiet corner, but that's because it's filled with traps. The bandits identified it and they're avoiding it. As soon as the trap goes off, maybe that calls the ogre and the bandits anyway. So if there's a way, if there are techniques we can use to solve the problem of how do we plan elegantly and efficiently, and instead sort of, if we can make choices matter and have, like I said, the world, the session, everything should respond appropriately depending on which decisions the players make. And I just think that's infinitely more interesting. It's harder, and I think that that's a fair criticism of what I'm talking about. The quantum ogre is certainly an easier approach. But if we can identify the better design and then say, okay, great, now why is that hard? or why does that take more time, and like how do we solve those problems, and how do we get to that kind of outcome easier. That's what I want to try to do. There's illusion and kind of fakery everywhere, right? In any sort of designed world, because nobody in D&D actually wants an open world. People talk about like, oh, do you have like an explorable open world, or do you run like a sandbox? It's like everything is or sorry, are you is it a sandbox, or is it a railroad? It's all a railroad. There are just some railroads that have many more branching paths than other railroads. That's just a fact. Um, because if you actually want a sandbox, if you actually want a true open world in a D&D, the party goes, okay, we go north, and then you proceed to describe the uneventful trek through the northern nothing for who knows how long. They spend their lives searching in a direction that they chose that just so happens to be full of nothing. No interactions, nothing interesting happens. Obviously, that's not what anybody wants. They want to have cool stuff set up in their way, kind of no matter where they go. It's like, yeah, that's just a better railroad system. That's just one with a lot of branching paths and all these choices, but you're still looking for something cool to happen. Yeah, railroad railroad is just such a unfortunate word to get thrown around in our hobby, but there's always a means to an end. We may strive straight from the path, but ultimately there is end game they drive you towards. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? As dungeon masters, we're party planners. Do people want to have fun at the table or not, right? And that's why I encourage, especially in like a one shot, it's good to be direct with player. Every handful of groups, some one or more people in a group is going to be that somebody who wants to kind of, run off the map in some direction or go do something that's clearly not the game that's at the table for everybody to have fun with. And I think for the most part, those players should be redirected pretty strongly, because that's just kind of trolling behavior, I guess. Our job is to provide the maximum amount of fun that we can with all the options and all the choice to make it feel real. Obviously, it's not real. We all know it's not real. But if it feels real, it is like better than any other type of game or story that you can be a part of. In my opinion, that's what I think.